The purpose of this video is to go over the steps in creating a basic quiz. What this video will not cover is how to create the bank of questions for your quiz. I am assuming you will have done this already. So with that established, we'll get cracking with creating our quiz. First off, ensure your editing has been turned to editing switched on. When you've done this, you'll get the usual icons that appear next to all the resources within Moodle. And what we want to do is select the quiz item or resource from Add an Activity. So we scroll down the drop down menu and select Quiz. Like all materials within Moodle, I can give my quiz a name, so choose something that is logical and relates to the subject matter. Within the description section, make sure it's turned on. You can enter instructions or just general information about the quiz within this section here. It will appear underneath the quiz title within Moodle and will be viewable by students. Timing is how long the quiz will be available for. So you can have an open date and a close date. So you could have your quiz last 2 days. And you can actually set a time limit for the quiz itself. In other words, how long the students get. So you could give them an hour to sit the quiz or 2 hours within the time you have made the quiz available for. So you do have that option as well. And there's also the option to, you can have the students are allowed a grace period if you want. They can submit their answers to the questions after the time has expired. It is up to you if you want to set that or not. And if you do decide to have a grace period, this will then be enabled. However, I don't want to do that, so that will be left as is. The grade is referring to where grade will be stored within Moodle. Obviously, it will be under the grader report. You will find all the quiz statistics and answers, well, student submissions in there as per usual. And the grading method is when multiple attempts are allowed for the quiz, so the following methods are available to calculate the final quiz grade. So you can have the highest grade of all the attempts, the average, the first and the last, but as I said, that's only relevant really if you allow it multiple times, or multiple attempts for the quiz I should say. It's worth investigating the layout as well. So what this is referring to is the layout of the questions. So what I would suggest is have shuffled randomly switched on. The reason for that is this will give students less chance to compare answers. For example, if you just left the as shown on edit screen, it means the students would get the exact same order of questions. So by having the shuffled random on, it means the questions will be in different orders for different students basically. So as I said earlier, there's less chance of them comparing. Now the new page, this is how many questions you want per page. So you can have, as you can see, you can have up to 50 questions per page. You do this, as I say, if you're dealing with, let's say you've got, for argument's sake, 50 questions. You might want to break it down, so you maybe have 5 questions in each page. That's entirely up to you, but you can have that set up. So I'll maybe go with 2, for example. The navigation method, this is referring to how students can move about the quiz. You can have it set to free, which means students can go back and forth between the questions or the pages with the questions on them. Or when you have it set to sequential, the students cannot go back and forth, they can just only go forward, so it's a linear process in other words. Now this is referring to the questions themselves, how you'd like this set out. Shuffle within questions. This is a good setting. This will allow you to, again, similar to the shuffle question order, this shuffles the options within the question. So, for example, if you had a multiple choice question, and let's say A was apple, B was pear, and C was raspberries, what that would effect do is it would shuffle the order of the options available. So it might be A is raspberry, B is apples, and C is pears, for example. So that's how this option works. Now what this is referring to is it's the way the students interact with the questions. So you may wish the students to enter an answer to each question and then submit the entire quiz before anything is graded or before they get feedback, and that would be the deferred feedback mode. There are other options available. This option here, this is again if you have multiple attempts at the quiz. What this is basically saying is this would build on each attempt of the previous submission. So as I said, it's just if multiple attempts are allowed, and this setting is enabled, each new quiz attempt will contain the results of the previous attempt. This allows the quiz to be completed over several attempts, so you can have that enabled if you want or not. This review options again gives the different types of how the students will get their quiz reports basically. So the during attempt is can only be applied or is really relevant for some behaviours like interactive with multiple tries, which may display feedback during the attempt. You can also have it so immediately after the attempt, settings apply for the first 2 minutes after submit all and finish is clicked, so the student would get the feedback then. Or you could have it so feedback is given later, while the quiz is still open, but before the quiz date closes. And you get after the quiz is closed. This means the students wouldn't get their feedback until the quiz has closed. That would also be the dates you set up earlier, the dates which are in timing. So you can really switch these off if you want. It's up to you. You can, in this case, I'm just going to do the feedback gets given to the students after the quiz is closed, or you might prefer the feedback to be given later, but while the quiz is still open. It's entirely up to you. The display options, again, it's really just, would you like the students' pictures to be shown? Again, that's entirely up to you. You can or can't have that switched on if you want. This is really just affecting the display of grades, not the grades stored in the database, nor does it interfere with calculations, etc. You can have on, you could put on extra restrictions of a password has to be entered by students in order for them to gain access to the quiz you set up. Again, it's entirely up to you. The feedback is, for example, you've got grade boundaries, so I could have 100% excellent, you got all of the questions correct. However, for this one I could put 75%. Good job, you got most of the questions correct, and so on and so forth. So you can give feedback to students based on the percentage of the questions they get right. So that's, again, is an optional extra. It's up to you if you want to use it or not. The common module settings, this is really just referring to you can make the quiz available to certain groups within your module, but again, you'd obviously have to have the groups and groupings set up beforehand. Now, the restrict access should not be confused with the timing. It's up to you if you want to implement this. You're only really restricting access to the link within Moodle.